As the day gently fades and the quiet of evening settles in, let us embark on a journey of gentle exploration, a quiet contemplation of something both profound and deeply personal, the illusion of free will. Tonight, we'll delve into the fascinating interplay between our conscious experience and the intricate workings of our brains, a journey that may leave you feeling a little more wonder than certainty. We all believe, at some level, that we are the authors of our own lives, that we freely choose our actions, our paths, our very destinies. This feeling, this profound sense of agency, is the cornerstone of our personal identity, our sense of self. But what if I told you that this deeply held belief, this intuitive sense of free will, might be an illusion? Tonight, we won't engage in heated debates or forceful arguments. Instead, we'll explore the evidence, the questions, the intriguing possibilities. We will gently consider the fascinating findings of neuroscience, which reveal the remarkable complexity of our brains, the intricate dance of electrical and chemical signals that orchestrate our every thought, feeling, and action. We will ponder how these discoveries might challenge our conventional understanding of free will. We will examine the subjective experience of choice, that feeling of deliberation, of consciously weighing options before making a decision. Is this feeling truly indicative of freedom, or is it merely a post hoc narrative, a story our consciousness constructs to explain actions already determined by underlying neurological processes? The implications of questioning free will are vast, reaching into the very fabric of our moral compass, our understanding of responsibility, and even the meaning we ascribe to our lives. We will touch upon these implications, not to reach definitive conclusions, but to invite you to reflect, to ponder, to consider the implications of this captivating mystery. Throughout our exploration, we'll weave together insights from philosophy and neuroscience, presenting different perspectives without judgment, fostering a space for quiet contemplation rather than firm conclusions. The goal isn't to declare a winner or loser in the debate of free will, but to appreciate the wonder and the mystery of consciousness, a mystery that deepens even as we unravel its complexities. Let's begin this soothing journey of discovery, a journey that, in the end, will leave you with a profound sense of awe. And as we delve deeper into the night, may this exploration gently guide you toward a peaceful slumber. We begin our exploration with the very foundation of our inquiry, the concept of free will itself. What does it truly mean to possess free will? In our everyday lives, we experience a powerful sense of agency. We believe we make conscious choices, deliberate between options, and act according to our own desires and intentions. We feel the weight of responsibility for our actions, the consequences both positive and negative stemming from our decisions. Imagine the simple act of choosing what to eat for dinner. You might consider several options: pasta, salad, perhaps leftover stew. You weigh the pros and cons, your hunger, your dietary preferences, perhaps even your mood. You then make a decision, feeling a sense of autonomy, a sense of having chosen freely. This feeling, this experience of conscious deliberation and choice, is what we commonly associate with free will. This intuitive understanding of free will is deeply ingrained in our legal systems, our moral codes, and our personal sense of self. We hold individuals accountable for their actions, praising those who do good and condemning those who do harm, based on the assumption that they had the freedom to choose otherwise. Our legal systems are built upon this premise, assigning guilt and punishment based on the perceived ability to choose freely. However, this common understanding of free will, this intuitive feeling of agency, is precisely what we will gently examine tonight. We will explore whether this seemingly self-evident truth, the freedom of our choices, might be a more complex, perhaps even illusory, phenomenon. The question isn't whether we feel free, but whether that feeling accurately reflects the reality of our decision-making processes. Consider again the dinner choice. While you experience the process as a conscious deliberation, a multitude of factors beyond your conscious awareness influenced your decision. Your past experiences, your current hunger level, the availability of ingredients, even subtle environmental cues all played a role. These factors, often unconscious, may have subtly shaped your preferences and influenced your final choice, more than you might consciously realize. This seemingly simple act of choosing dinner serves as a microcosm of the larger question. To what extent are our choices truly free, or are they the inevitable outcome of a complex interplay of factors, both internal and external, many of which operate outside our conscious awareness? This is the central question we will carefully explore throughout our journey. Now, let's delve into the fascinating world of neuroscience and explore how our understanding of the brain sheds light on the question of free will. Recent advancements in brain imaging techniques, such as fMRI and EEG, allow us to observe brain activity with remarkable precision. These studies have revealed a compelling picture of decision-making, one that challenges our intuitive notions of conscious choice. Numerous experiments have shown that brain activity related to a decision often begins before we are consciously aware of having made that decision. In other words, our brains seem to be preparing for a decision, initiating the neural processes that will lead to a particular action, even before we ourselves become aware of what we are about to do. This suggests that the conscious experience of making a decision might be a kind of after-the-fact narrative, a story we tell ourselves to make sense of our actions, rather than the true cause of those actions. Imagine a study where participants are asked to press a button at will, while their brain activity is monitored. The results often show a clear pattern. Neural activity associated with the button press begins several seconds before the participant reports consciously deciding to press the button. This temporal discrepancy raises profound questions about the nature of conscious will. Is our conscious experience merely an observer, a passenger along for the ride, rather than the driver of our actions? Of course, this isn't to say that consciousness plays no role at all. Consciousness undoubtedly plays a crucial role in our experience, our understanding of ourselves, and our ability to plan and reflect. However, the neuroscientific evidence suggests that the conscious experience of making a decision might be a retrospective construction, an interpretation of events that have already unfolded in the brain. It's a delicate balance. The brain is a complex and intricate system, a symphony of interacting neural networks. While neuroscience reveals these preconscious neural processes, it doesn't necessarily negate the importance of conscious thought and reflection. Rather, it offers a more nuanced and complex understanding of the decision-making process, one that challenges the simplistic notion of free will as a purely conscious act. The feeling of making a free choice is undeniably real, yet the underlying mechanics may be far more intricate and less consciously controlled than we typically assume. This is a fascinating and ongoing area of research, and the implications are far-reaching. We'll continue exploring these implications in the sections to come. Let's now consider the deeply personal and subjective nature of choice. While neuroscience might reveal deterministic processes in the brain preceding our conscious decisions, the experience of choosing remains profoundly subjective and undeniably real. We feel as though we are making choices freely, weighing options, and acting on our own volition. This feeling of agency, this internal sense of control, is a fundamental aspect of our self-concept. It shapes our sense of responsibility, our moral compass, and our very understanding of who we are. The disconnect between the objective neuroscientific perspective and the subjective, lived experience of choice is a central challenge in understanding free will. It's as if we are observing a play from two different seats. From one, we see the intricate workings of the stage machinery, the hidden levers and pulleys that drive the action. From the other, we are absorbed in the drama unfolding before us, experiencing the emotions and the narrative arc of the story. Both perspectives are valid, yet they seem to offer conflicting accounts of the same event. Consider the simple act of choosing what to eat for dinner. From a neuroscientific perspective, this decision might be seen as a complex interplay of neural signals, influenced by factors like hunger, past experiences, and even subtle environmental cues. Yet, subjectively, we experience this as a conscious act of deliberation, a weighing of preferences, a moment of personal agency. We feel we chose the pasta over the salad. We didn't simply react to predetermined neural pathways. This inherent tension between objective observation and subjective experience is not easily resolved. It highlights the limitations of reducing human experience to purely mechanistic processes. Our internal world, the rich tapestry of thoughts, feelings, and intentions, is not easily captured by brain scans or equations. The feeling of conscious will, the sense of making a genuine choice, is a powerful and undeniable aspect of human experience. Perhaps the question isn't whether free will exists or not, but rather how we reconcile the objective and subjective perspectives, how we integrate our scientific understanding of the brain with our deeply personal experience of choice. This is a question that invites contemplation, reflection, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe we inhabit. The journey of understanding the illusion of free will is a journey into the very heart of what it means to be human, and that, in itself, is a profound and rewarding exploration. If our actions are ultimately determined by factors outside of our conscious control, what then becomes of personal responsibility? This is a question that naturally arises when considering the implications of a universe governed by deterministic laws, a universe where even our seemingly free choices might be preordained. The traditional concept of moral accountability rests on the assumption of free will, that we are responsible for our actions because we chose them freely. But if our choices are predetermined, does this absolve us of responsibility? The answer, perhaps surprisingly, is not a simple yes or no. While a deterministic view of the universe might challenge the traditional understanding of moral responsibility, it doesn't necessarily eliminate it. Consider the analogy of a skilled chess player. Their moves are not random. They are the product of years of training, strategic thinking, and an understanding of the game's mechanics. Yet, we still hold them accountable for their performance, praising their skillful strategies or criticizing their poor judgment. Similarly, even if our actions are determined by complex internal and external factors, we can still hold ourselves and others accountable for the consequences of those actions, focusing on fostering understanding and positive change. The implications extend beyond personal responsibility to the very meaning of life. If our choices are not truly free, does this diminish the significance of our lives, our strivings, our aspirations? Again, the answer is nuanced. The absence of absolute free will doesn't negate the value of our experiences, our relationships, or our contributions to the world. We can still find meaning and purpose in a deterministic universe by embracing the beauty and complexity of existence, by cherishing the connections we make, and by striving to live a life that is both meaningful and compassionate. Perhaps the most important implication is the shift in perspective. Understanding that our choices might be influenced by factors beyond our immediate awareness can foster empathy, understanding, and compassion for ourselves and others. It can lead to a more nuanced understanding of human behavior, recognizing the complex interplay of factors that shape our decisions. This understanding can, in turn, lead to a more just and compassionate society, one that recognizes the limitations of simplistic notions of free will and embraces a more holistic and compassionate approach to justice and personal growth. The illusion of free will, then, may not be an illusion at all, but rather a crucial aspect of our human experience, a narrative that allows us to navigate the complexities of life with meaning and purpose. Let's now gently explore some of the philosophical viewpoints surrounding determinism and free will. These are vast and complex areas of inquiry, and we won't attempt to definitively resolve them here. Instead, let's consider them as intriguing landscapes for quiet contemplation. One perspective, compatibilism, suggests that free will and determinism aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. It proposes that even if our actions are causally determined, we can still possess a form of free will, defined perhaps as acting according to our desires and beliefs, even if those desires and beliefs themselves are products of prior causes. Think of a river flowing downstream. Its path is determined by the terrain, yet within those constraints, the river carves its own unique course, responding to the subtle variations in its environment. Similarly, our actions might be shaped by a multitude of factors, yet within those constraints, our choices still feel uniquely ours. This is a perspective that allows for a sense of agency without demanding absolute, unconstrained freedom. Another philosophical approach, libertarianism, takes a different stance, arguing for a genuine, unconstrained freedom of choice. This perspective suggests that our conscious minds possess a capacity to transcend the deterministic forces of the universe, making truly free choices that aren't entirely predetermined. This perspective emphasizes the subjective experience of choice, the feeling that we could have done otherwise, even if it's difficult to reconcile with a strictly deterministic view of the universe. Then there's hard determinism, which asserts that all events, including our choices, are causally determined and that free will, as we commonly understand it, is an illusion. This isn't necessarily a bleak outlook. Rather, it invites a reevaluation of our understanding of responsibility and agency, perhaps shifting the focus from blame to understanding and compassion. These various viewpoints aren't mutually contradictory, but rather offer different lenses through which to view the same complex reality. Perhaps the most important takeaway isn't to choose one perspective over another, but rather to appreciate the richness and subtlety of the philosophical landscape, to recognize the inherent limitations of our understanding, and to embrace the ongoing exploration of these profound questions. The gentle rustling of leaves, the quiet hum of the night, these are reminders of the intricate processes that shape our world, a world where the boundaries between determinism and free will remain a source of wonder and ongoing philosophical inquiry. And as we lie here, listening to the quiet symphony of the night, we can find peace in the mystery itself. As we draw our exploration to a close, let's linger for a moment on the profound mystery of consciousness itself. Even if the intricate dance of neurons and synapses ultimately determines our actions, the experience of being conscious, of feeling, of thinking, of knowing we are thinking, this remains a marvel. This subjective experience, this inner landscape of our minds, remains a frontier of understanding. It is a realm where the weight of determinism feels less heavy, replaced by the sheer wonder of existence. Consider the feeling of awe you experience when gazing at a starlit sky, the profound sense of connection you feel with loved ones, the quiet joy of a simple moment. These experiences, these feelings, these moments of profound connection are undeniably real, even if their origins lie within the predictable patterns of our neurological architecture. The illusion of free will, if it is indeed an illusion, doesn't diminish the richness and depth of these experiences. Rather, it enhances them, casting them in a new light, revealing a deeper layer of mystery and wonder. The question of free will is not merely an academic debate. It touches upon the very core of what it means to be human. It asks us to consider our place in the universe, our relationship to each other, and our understanding of ourselves. And perhaps the most important lesson isn't a definitive answer, but rather the journey of exploration itself, the ongoing quest to understand the intricate workings of our minds and the nature of our consciousness. The feeling of choice, the sense of agency, the weight of responsibility. These are all deeply ingrained aspects of our human experience. Even if neuroscience suggests a different picture, even if the universe operates according to deterministic principles, the subjective reality of our inner lives remains a testament to the complexity and beauty of being human. Let us embrace this mystery, this wonder, this ongoing exploration. Let us approach the question of free will not with the need for definitive answers, but with a sense of curiosity, respect, and a deep appreciation for the intricate dance of consciousness. The quiet contemplation of these profound questions can lead not to despair, but to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe we inhabit. And in that understanding, we can find a profound sense of peace and connection. Let the gentle rhythm of your breath guide you into a peaceful slumber, carrying with it the quiet wonder of existence. As we begin our journey into the fascinating world of free will, let's first consider its common understanding. In our everyday lives, the concept feels intuitive, almost self-evident. We believe we make choices freely, that our decisions are the result of our own conscious will, independent of external forces. We navigate our days making countless choices, from what to eat for breakfast to what career path to pursue. Each decision, we believe, is a testament to our autonomy, our power to shape our own lives. This intuitive understanding of free will is deeply rooted in our subjective experience. We feel the weight of our decisions, the deliberation before a choice, the satisfaction or regret that follows. This internal narrative of conscious choice is powerful and undeniable. It forms the bedrock of our sense of self, our personal responsibility, and our moral compass. We hold ourselves and others accountable for their actions, predicated on the belief that individuals possess the capacity to choose between different courses of action. The legal system, for instance, is built upon this foundation, assigning blame and punishment based on the presumption of free will. Consider the simple act of choosing a book to read. You might browse the shelves, weighing the appeal of different titles, perhaps recalling a recommendation from a friend, or considering the genre that best suits your current mood. The final selection feels like a personal decision, a reflection of your individual preferences and desires. This subjective experience is central to our understanding of free will. It is the feeling of agency, the sense of being the author of one's own life, that shapes our self-perception and our interactions with the world. But this intuitive understanding of free will, as we will explore, is not without its challenges. As we delve deeper, we will encounter perspectives that question the very nature of choice and the extent to which our decisions are truly free. We will explore the fascinating interplay between our subjective experience and the objective realities revealed by neuroscience, philosophy, and other fields of inquiry. This exploration is not intended to diminish the importance of personal responsibility or the meaning of life, but rather to illuminate the complexities of human consciousness and the illusion that sometimes veils the truth. Let us embark on this journey together, with open minds and a sense of calm curiosity. Now, let's gently turn our attention to the fascinating insights offered by neuroscience. Recent research using advanced brain imaging techniques, such as fMRI and EEG, has provided intriguing glimpses into the complex processes underlying decision-making. These studies have revealed a remarkable pattern. Brain activity often begins before we are consciously aware of making a decision. In other words, our brains may be preparing to act, initiating the neural pathways for a specific choice, even before we ourselves are aware of having made that choice. Imagine this: you're presented with two options, perhaps reaching for a cup of tea or coffee. Your conscious mind deliberates, weighing the pros and cons, perhaps recalling a recent enjoyable cup of tea. You feel the process of choice, the weighing of options, the final decision. Yet, neuroscientific studies suggest that your brain may have already begun preparing for one of these actions, subtly shifting its neural activity towards, for example, the tea, before you consciously experience the decision itself. This doesn't imply that your conscious deliberation is meaningless. Instead, it suggests a more complex interplay between conscious awareness and unconscious processes. These findings, while not definitively proving the absence of free will, certainly challenge the traditional notion of conscious control. They paint a picture where conscious awareness may be more of a post hoc rationalization, a narrative we construct to explain actions already initiated by our brains. This isn't to say that our choices are predetermined in a rigid, mechanical sense, but rather that the role of conscious will in the decision-making process might be less dominant than we intuitively believe. The conscious experience of choice remains a profound and personal reality, but its causal role in initiating action may be more subtle than we commonly assume. The implications of these neuroscientific findings are far-reaching, prompting a reevaluation of our understanding of agency, responsibility, and the very nature of self. It's a gentle invitation to reconsider our deeply held beliefs, to embrace the complexities of human consciousness, and to approach the concept of free will with a more nuanced and contemplative perspective. The journey of understanding this illusion is not about dismantling our sense of self, but rather about enriching it with a deeper awareness of the intricate mechanisms at play within our own minds. We'll continue exploring this fascinating interplay of consciousness and determinism as we move forward. We've been exploring the fascinating tension between our deeply held sense of making free choices and the evidence from neuroscience suggesting a more deterministic underpinning to our actions. This brings us to the heart of the matter, the subjective experience itself. The feeling of choosing, of weighing options, of consciously deciding this internal landscape is undeniably real, profoundly personal, and integral to our understanding of ourselves. Yet, how do we reconcile this vivid subjective experience with the potential for unconscious neural processes to predetermine our choices? Consider the simple act of choosing what to eat for dinner. We might spend time considering options, perhaps even feeling a sense of agency in making the final decision. However, the neuroscience suggests that a complex interplay of factors, past experiences, preferences, even hormonal fluctuations, could subtly influence our brain activity long before we become consciously aware of our decision. This doesn't diminish the feeling of choice. Rather, it highlights the potential disconnect between that feeling and the underlying neural machinery. It's like observing a beautiful sunset. The experience of awe and wonder is undeniably real, deeply personal. Yet, that experience is rooted in the physical processes of light scattering and the physiology of our eyes and brain. Understanding the physics and physiology doesn't diminish the beauty of the sunset. It simply adds another layer of understanding, a deeper appreciation for the complexity of the experience. Similarly, understanding the potential influence of unconscious brain processes on our choices doesn't negate the subjective experience of making a decision. The feeling of free will is a fundamental aspect of human consciousness, a deeply ingrained part of our self-perception. The question then becomes not whether we have free will, but rather how we understand the relationship between this powerful subjective experience and the intricate, often unconscious processes within our brains. It's a gentle invitation to explore the multifaceted nature of consciousness, to appreciate the subjective experience alongside the neuroscientific findings, without necessarily resolving the inherent tension between the two. The mystery, in itself, is a source of wonder, and within that mystery lies a profound opportunity for self-reflection and a deeper appreciation for the complexity of the human experience. The implications of a world where free will might be an illusion are profound, reaching into the very foundations of our moral compass and our understanding of life's meaning. If our choices are, to some extent, predetermined by complex neural processes beyond our conscious control, how do we reconcile this with the concepts of personal responsibility and accountability? Does it mean we should absolve individuals of blame for their actions? The answer isn't a simple yes or no. While the deterministic perspective challenges traditional notions of free will, it doesn't necessarily lead to a dismissal of personal responsibility. Instead, it encourages a shift in perspective. We might view actions as arising from a complex interplay of factors, genetics, upbringing, environment, and unconscious neural processes, rather than solely from conscious, deliberate choice. This nuanced understanding can foster greater empathy and compassion, recognizing the intricate web of influences that shape human behavior. Consider the criminal justice system. If we embrace a more holistic view of human action, acknowledging the role of unconscious factors, we might approach punishment and rehabilitation with a more restorative focus. Punishment could still be necessary for protecting society, but its purpose might shift from retribution to reformation, emphasizing rehabilitation and addressing the underlying causes of harmful behavior. This approach could lead to a more just and equitable system. Furthermore, the questioning of free will doesn't necessarily diminish the meaning of life. If our actions aren't entirely self-determined, it doesn't mean they're meaningless. Our lives remain profoundly significant in their impact on others and the world around us. The relationships we cultivate, the contributions we make, and the moments of connection we experience, these hold immense value, irrespective of the degree to which they are predetermined. In fact, acknowledging the intricate interconnectedness of all things might enhance our appreciation for the preciousness of each moment and the importance of empathy and kindness. The exploration of free will, therefore, isn't about dismantling our moral compass. It's about refining it, deepening our understanding of ourselves, and cultivating a more compassionate and nuanced approach to human interaction and responsibility. It's a journey of self-discovery, leading not to nihilism, but to a richer, more profound appreciation for the complexity and beauty of human existence. The illusion, or perhaps the mystery, of free will encourages us to live more consciously, to cherish the present moment, and to act with kindness and understanding, recognizing the profound interconnectedness of our lives. Let's gently explore some of the philosophical viewpoints surrounding determinism and free will. These aren't debates to be won or lost, but rather landscapes of thought, offering different ways to consider the intricate relationship between our internal experience and the external world. Determinism, at its core, suggests that all events, including our choices, are causally determined by prior events. Imagine a vast, intricate clockwork mechanism, where each cog turns precisely because of the preceding cog's movement. This doesn't necessarily diminish the beauty or complexity of the mechanism. It simply describes its functioning. Similarly, a deterministic view of the universe doesn't negate the richness of human experience, but rather presents it as a consequence of a long chain of cause and effect. In contrast, libertarianism champions the idea of genuine free will. It suggests that our choices are truly our own, unconstrained by prior events. We are, in this view, the authors of our destinies, capable of making choices that aren't predetermined. This perspective resonates deeply with our intuitive sense of agency, that feeling of making conscious, independent decisions. Compatibilism offers a middle ground, attempting to reconcile determinism with the experience of free will. It suggests that free will and determinism aren't mutually exclusive. We might be causally determined, yet still experience a sense of freedom, as long as our actions align with our desires and intentions. This view offers a potentially comforting synthesis, suggesting that even within a deterministic universe, our choices retain a sense of personal significance. These philosophical perspectives offer diverse frameworks for understanding the human experience. None definitively resolve the question of free will, yet each contributes to a richer, more nuanced appreciation of the complexities involved. Perhaps the enduring mystery of free will lies not in finding a definitive answer, but in the ongoing contemplation of these different perspectives, each offering a unique lens through which to view the intricate tapestry of human existence. The journey of exploring these ideas, rather than arriving at a concrete conclusion, may be the most valuable aspect of this inquiry. It invites us to reflect on the nature of choice, responsibility, and the meaning we imbue in our lives, fostering a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. As we conclude our exploration of the illusion of free will, let's pause to reflect on the profound mystery at the heart of it all: consciousness itself. Whether our choices are predetermined or not, the very fact that we experience them, that we possess this subjective awareness, remains a marvel of nature. The feeling of agency, the sense of I making decisions, is a powerful and undeniable aspect of our existence, irrespective of its underlying mechanisms. Imagine the vastness of the cosmos, the intricate dance of particles, the emergence of life, and finally, the blossoming of consciousness. This journey, from the simplest elements to the complex symphony of the human brain, is a testament to the universe's creative power. And within this vast unfolding, the emergence of subjective experience, of the I that perceives and chooses, is perhaps the most wondrous mystery of all. Even if neuroscience reveals that our choices are influenced or even determined by prior events, the feeling of making those choices, the richness of our inner lives, remains untouched. The subjective experience of consciousness, the feeling of being, of thinking, of choosing, is a reality in itself, regardless of any underlying deterministic processes. To acknowledge the potential limitations of our free will is not to diminish the significance of our conscious experience, but rather to deepen our appreciation for its extraordinary nature. The illusion, if it is one, is a beautiful and compelling illusion. It fuels our creativity, our drive, our sense of purpose. It allows us to connect with others, to build relationships, to shape the world around us. Perhaps the truest freedom lies not in the absolute control of our choices, but in the acceptance of our limitations, combined with a profound appreciation for the exquisite mystery of our conscious existence. This understanding can lead to a more compassionate, empathetic, and ultimately more fulfilling life. Let the wonder of consciousness, in all its complexity, be the final thought as you drift off to sleep. We begin our journey into the fascinating and often perplexing world of free will. Most of us, in our daily lives, operate with a strong sense of agency. We believe we make choices freely, that our decisions are the result of our own conscious deliberation and desires. This intuitive feeling, this deeply ingrained sense of self-determination, forms the bedrock of our personal identity and our understanding of moral responsibility. We choose our careers, our partners, our life paths, and we feel a profound sense of ownership over these choices. This is the common understanding of free will, the capacity to choose between different possible courses of action unimpeded. Consider a simple example: choosing what to eat for dinner. We weigh our options, perhaps considering our hunger, our preferences, and even the ingredients available. We feel as though we are making a conscious decision, a free choice, unconstrained by any external force. This seemingly straightforward act encapsulates our everyday experience of free will. It is the fundamental building block upon which our sense of self and our moral framework are constructed. This intuitive belief in our ability to choose is so pervasive that it often feels self-evident, a truth that needs no further explanation. However, this intuitive understanding is precisely what we will be exploring in greater depth. We will delve into the scientific and philosophical perspectives that challenge this seemingly straightforward notion, gently probing the edges of our understanding of consciousness and choice. We will examine the evidence that suggests our conscious decisions might not be as free as we intuitively believe, and explore what that might mean for our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. This isn't about dismantling your sense of self. Rather, it's an invitation to embark on a reflective journey to better understand the complex nature of consciousness and the choices we make. Now, let's gently turn our attention to the fascinating world of neuroscience and its intriguing insights into the workings of the human brain. Recent advancements in brain imaging techniques, such as fMRI and EEG, have allowed scientists to peer into the complex processes that underpin our thoughts, feelings, and actions. These studies have yielded some remarkable findings that subtly challenge our intuitive understanding of free will. One of the most compelling lines of evidence comes from experiments examining the timing of brain activity relative to conscious decision-making. In these studies, participants are asked to perform simple tasks, such as pressing a button or making a choice between two options. While the participants report experiencing a conscious decision to act, brain imaging reveals a pattern of neural activity that precedes this conscious awareness. In other words, the brain appears to be preparing for the action before the individual is consciously aware of having made a decision. This observation raises a fundamental question. If brain activity related to a decision occurs before we are consciously aware of making that decision, where does the sense of free will fit in? Does it simply emerge as a post hoc narrative, a story we tell ourselves to explain our actions? This isn't to say that our conscious experience is irrelevant, far from it. Our conscious thoughts and feelings undoubtedly play a role in shaping our behavior, but the timing of these neural events suggests that the conscious experience of making a decision might be more of an observation of a process already underway than the initiating force. Imagine a river flowing steadily downstream. Our conscious awareness might be like a small boat gently drifting along the river's surface, observing the flow, but ultimately unable to change its course significantly. The river's flow, the underlying neural processes, are already determined by a multitude of factors: genetics, environment, past experiences, long before the boat, our conscious awareness, arrives at a particular point. It's important to note that this neuroscientific evidence doesn't necessarily negate the importance of personal responsibility. Rather, it suggests a more nuanced view of agency and choice. Our actions are complex outcomes of a multitude of interacting factors, a delicate interplay between conscious experience and unconscious processes. Understanding this intricate relationship can lead to a more compassionate and just society, one that recognizes the limitations of simple cause and effect narratives when considering human behavior. The mystery remains, but the journey of understanding deepens. Let's delve a little deeper into the fascinating disconnect between our subjective experience of choice and the objective, deterministic processes unfolding within our brains. We all have that profound inner feeling, that undeniable sense of agency, that we are the authors of our decisions. This subjective experience is incredibly powerful, deeply ingrained in our sense of self. But how does this subjective experience reconcile with the neuroscientific evidence suggesting that our brains may be making decisions before we are even consciously aware of them? The feeling of making a conscious choice is undeniably real. It's a fundamental aspect of our lived experience. We weigh options, consider consequences, and ultimately arrive at a decision. This process feels free, voluntary, and uniquely our own. Yet, the brain's intricate machinery operates on a level far beyond our conscious awareness, a level where neural pathways fire and synapses connect in intricate patterns determined by a multitude of factors, often outside our conscious control. This isn't to diminish the significance of our conscious experience. Our thoughts, feelings, and intentions certainly play a role in shaping our actions. However, the question remains, to what extent are these conscious processes truly driving the decision? Or are they merely observers, post hoc interpreters of a process already set in motion? Perhaps the subjective experience of choice is a kind of illusion, a narrative constructed by our conscious mind to make sense of the complex, deterministic processes unfolding within our brains. Think of it as a beautifully crafted story, a narrative that provides coherence and meaning to our actions, even if the underlying mechanisms are not entirely of our conscious choosing. This doesn't imply a lack of responsibility. Our actions still have consequences, and we are still accountable for them. However, understanding the potential disconnect between our subjective experience of free will and the objective reality of our brain's deterministic processes can lead to greater self-awareness, empathy, and a more nuanced understanding of human behavior. The feeling of choice remains powerfully real, even if the mechanisms behind it are more complex than we might initially imagine. The illusion, perhaps, is a beautiful and necessary one, helping us navigate the complexities of life. The implications of questioning free will extend far beyond the scientific realm, reaching into the very foundations of our moral and ethical frameworks. If our choices are not truly free, how do we reconcile this with the concepts of personal responsibility and accountability? The immediate reaction might be a sense of unease, a feeling that the rug has been pulled out from under our understanding of justice and fairness. However, let's explore this further with a gentle, reflective approach. The idea of eliminating personal responsibility entirely is a misconception. Even if our actions are ultimately determined by prior causes, we still live in a world where consequences exist. Society needs mechanisms for maintaining order and ensuring safety, and these mechanisms, like laws and social norms, remain crucial regardless of the philosophical debate surrounding free will. Instead of discarding personal responsibility, perhaps we can refine our understanding of it. We can focus on fostering understanding, empathy, and rehabilitation, rather than solely on retribution. The concept of morality also undergoes a subtle shift. Instead of focusing on inherent guilt or blame, we might emphasize education, support, and the creation of a society that promotes positive behavior through supportive structures and opportunities. This is not about excusing harmful actions, but about understanding their root causes and working towards preventative measures. It's about shifting the focus from punishment to prevention, from blame to understanding. And what about the meaning of life? If free will is an illusion, does this diminish the significance of our existence? Quite the contrary, perhaps. The beauty of a life lived within a deterministic framework is that it enhances the appreciation for the incredible complexity and wonder of our existence. Every moment, every experience becomes a precious unfolding, a marvel of intricate processes, rather than a series of freely chosen events. The focus shifts from the illusion of control to the appreciation of the journey itself, the unfolding story of our lives, a narrative written by the universe, played out on the stage of our consciousness. This perspective, in its own way, can be deeply liberating. It can free us from the burden of constantly striving for perfect control and allow us to simply appreciate the experience of being alive. The search for meaning, then, becomes a journey of understanding and acceptance, rather than a quest for self-determined control. Let's now gently explore some of the philosophical landscapes surrounding the concepts of determinism and free will. These are ancient questions, pondered by thinkers for millennia, and there are no easy answers, only perspectives. Determinism, in its simplest form, suggests that all events, including our choices, are causally determined by prior events. Imagine a vast, intricate clockwork mechanism, where every cog and gear is interconnected, leading inevitably to the next moment. This doesn't necessarily imply a controlling entity, but rather a universe operating according to its own inherent laws. Libertarianism, on the other hand, champions the idea of genuine free will. It posits that we possess the capacity to choose between different courses of action, independent of any predetermined causal chain. This view often aligns with our subjective experience of making conscious choices. We feel as though we are the authors of our decisions, the captains of our own ships. This feeling of agency is powerful, deeply ingrained in our human experience. Compatibilism, a middle ground, attempts to reconcile these seemingly opposing views. It suggests that free will and determinism are not mutually exclusive. Perhaps free will is not about complete randomness, but about acting according to one's own desires and intentions, even within a deterministic framework. Our choices might be determined, yet they are still our choices, reflecting our individual nature and circumstances. This perspective acknowledges both the feeling of agency and the potential influence of prior causes. It's important to remember that these are just frameworks for understanding. They are not definitive answers, and the debate continues. The beauty of exploring these ideas lies not in reaching a conclusive verdict, but in the process of thoughtful contemplation itself. Each perspective offers a unique lens through which to view the human experience, enriching our understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe. Perhaps the most valuable outcome is not a definitive answer, but a deeper appreciation for the inherent complexity and mystery of consciousness. The journey of exploring these questions is, in itself, a profound and enriching experience. As we continue, let us approach these philosophical concepts with a sense of gentle curiosity, a willingness to consider different viewpoints without the need for definitive conclusions. The mystery, in its own way, is the most captivating part. So, we arrive at the end of our journey into the fascinating and perhaps slightly unsettling world of free will. We've explored the intriguing findings of neuroscience, the age-old philosophical debates, and the subtle tensions between our subjective experience and the objective observations of the scientific method. And where does that leave us? Perhaps not with definitive answers, but with a profound sense of wonder. The mystery of consciousness remains, a captivating enigma at the heart of our being. Even if our choices are, in some sense, predetermined by a complex interplay of factors beyond our immediate awareness, the sheer fact of consciousness itself, the subjective experience of being, remains awe-inspiring. The feeling of agency, the sense of self, the capacity for introspection and reflection, these are not diminished by a deeper understanding of the underlying mechanisms of the brain. Instead, they are amplified, framed within a richer, more nuanced context. Consider the beauty of a sunset, the intricate design of a snowflake, the vastness of the cosmos. These wonders are not lessened by scientific explanations. They are enhanced by our understanding of the underlying physical laws that govern their existence. Similarly, the mystery of consciousness, even within a deterministic framework, retains its wonder and its profound significance. The illusion of free will, if it is indeed an illusion, is a particularly compelling one. It is the illusion that allows us to navigate the complexities of human interaction, to build relationships, to experience love and compassion. It is the foundation upon which we build our sense of self, our hopes, and our dreams. And even if this sense of self is a carefully constructed narrative, woven from the threads of our experiences and shaped by the intricate workings of our brains, it is still a narrative worth living, a story worth cherishing. Let us embrace the mystery, the complexity, the wonder. Let us appreciate the intricate dance between the conscious and the unconscious, the interplay of nature and nurture, the interwoven tapestry of our individual lives and the collective human experience. The journey of understanding ourselves, of exploring the depths of human consciousness, is a journey without end, a continuous unfolding of discovery. And perhaps that very journey is the most liberating aspect of all. Sleep well, and dream of the wonders yet to be discovered within the depths of your own mind. As we embark on this exploration, let's begin with the very foundation of our inquiry, the concept of free will itself. What does it mean to have free will? In our everyday lives, the idea feels intuitive, almost self-evident. We make choices seemingly freely throughout each day. We decide what to eat for breakfast, what path to take to work, what words to speak to a friend. These choices, we believe, are our own, born from our desires, our intentions, our unique perspectives on the world. This common understanding of free will rests upon the notion of agency, the capacity to act independently, to make decisions that are not predetermined by external forces or prior events. It's the feeling of being the author of our own lives, the architect of our own destinies. We experience this sense of agency as a fundamental aspect of our consciousness, a core element of what it means to be human. It's the feeling that we could have chosen otherwise, that our actions stem from a genuine capacity for choice, rather than being simply the inevitable outcome of a preordained sequence of events. Consider the simple act of choosing a book to read. We might browse the shelves, weighing the appeal of different titles, considering the author's style, the subject matter, even the feel of the cover in our hands. In that moment, we experience a sense of deliberate choice, a feeling of genuine agency in selecting one book over another. This experience of choice, this feeling of freedom, is central to our understanding of free will, even if the underlying neurological processes might be far more complex than we initially imagined. This intuitive understanding, however, is the very thing we will be gently questioning throughout this exploration. The seemingly simple act of choosing a book, for example, is a process involving countless subtle influences: our past experiences, our current desires, our subconscious biases, and the complex interplay of neuronal activity within our brains. Understanding these influences is key to appreciating the depth and complexity of the concept of free will and the potential for a more nuanced perspective. Let's delve further into this fascinating exploration and uncover the layers of this seemingly simple yet profoundly complex concept. Now, let's gently turn our attention to the fascinating insights offered by neuroscience. Recent advancements in brain imaging techniques, such as fMRI and EEG, have allowed researchers to peer into the intricate workings of the brain during decision-making processes. These studies have revealed a remarkable finding. Unconscious brain activity often precedes our conscious awareness of making a decision. Imagine this. You're presented with a choice. Press a button with your left hand or your right. Before you're even consciously aware of having made a decision, your brain shows measurable activity in areas associated with motor control, indicating the direction your hand will move. This activity, occurring milliseconds before your conscious experience of choice, suggests that the decision might already be made at an unconscious level before we become consciously aware of it. This isn't to say that our conscious minds are completely irrelevant. Our conscious thoughts, feelings, and intentions certainly play a role in shaping our decisions. However, the neuroscientific evidence suggests that the conscious experience of making a choice might be more of a post hoc narrative, a story we tell ourselves about why we acted in a particular way, rather than the true causal agent of our actions. These findings don't necessarily imply that we are mere automatons, entirely devoid of agency. Our brains are incredibly complex, and the interplay between conscious and unconscious processes is far from fully understood. However, the neuroscientific evidence does challenge the simplistic notion of free will as a completely independent and unconstrained force. It invites us to consider the extent to which our decisions are shaped by factors outside of our immediate conscious control. This exploration helps us understand the intricate dance between our conscious experience and the underlying neural machinery that shapes our actions. The more we understand this dance, the more compassionate and understanding we can become of ourselves and others. The path forward is not one of despair, but of deeper self-awareness and a more nuanced perspective on the human experience. Even as we explore the fascinating complexities of the brain and its role in decision-making, let's not overlook the profound and undeniably real experience of choice. The feeling of freely choosing, of making a decision from a range of possibilities, is a fundamental aspect of our conscious lives. This subjective experience, the feeling of agency, is deeply ingrained in our sense of self. It's the feeling that we are the authors of our actions, the drivers of our lives. But how do we reconcile this powerful subjective experience with the neuroscientific evidence suggesting that unconscious processes might be at play? This is where the concept of the illusion of free will becomes particularly intriguing. The illusion isn't a suggestion that our choices are meaningless or that we are simply puppets on strings. Instead, it points to a potential disconnect between the subjective experience of conscious choice and the underlying deterministic processes occurring within the brain. Consider the feeling of choosing a flavor of ice cream. You might consciously deliberate between strawberry and chocolate, weighing the pros and cons of each. You might feel a sense of agency, a feeling that you are making a conscious decision based on your preferences. However, at a deeper level, a complex interplay of neural activity, influenced by past experiences, current desires, and even subtle environmental cues, is already shaping your preference long before your conscious mind registers it. The decision, in a sense, might already be made unconsciously before you consciously become aware of it. The subjective experience of deliberating and choosing, therefore, may be a kind of post hoc rationalization, a narrative we construct to explain our actions, a story we tell ourselves to maintain a coherent sense of self. This doesn't diminish the importance of the subjective experience. It simply suggests that it's a complex and multifaceted phenomenon, possibly operating in parallel with, or even as a consequence of, unconscious brain processes. The feeling of choice remains real, deeply personal, and profoundly significant, even if its causal role in our actions is more nuanced than we might intuitively assume. This understanding fosters a deeper appreciation for the mystery of consciousness and the subtle interplay between conscious experience and unconscious processes. The quest to understand this interplay is a journey of self-discovery, one that unfolds gradually, enriching our understanding of both ourselves and the world around us. The implications of questioning free will extend far beyond the realm of scientific inquiry. They touch upon the very foundations of our moral compass, our understanding of personal responsibility, and even the meaning we ascribe to our lives. If our choices are, to some extent, predetermined by unconscious processes, how do we reconcile this with our deeply ingrained sense of moral accountability? Do we still hold individuals responsible for their actions if those actions are, in part, a product of factors beyond their conscious control? The answer, perhaps, lies not in discarding responsibility altogether, but in refining our understanding of it. Instead of focusing solely on individual blame, we might shift towards a more nuanced perspective, one that acknowledges the complex interplay of factors influencing behavior. This includes not only conscious intentions, but also the broader context of an individual's life, their upbringing, their experiences, their genetic predispositions, and the societal structures within which they operate. A deeper understanding of these influences can foster greater empathy and compassion, leading to more effective strategies for addressing harmful behaviors and promoting positive change. Consider the implications for our justice system. If we accept that unconscious processes play a role in shaping our actions, it might necessitate a shift away from purely punitive approaches towards a more rehabilitative model. This doesn't mean condoning harmful actions, but rather recognizing the need for interventions that address the underlying causes of such behavior, rather than simply focusing on retribution. Similarly, in our personal relationships, understanding the potential limitations of free will can foster greater patience and understanding. We might approach conflicts with a more compassionate perspective, acknowledging the complexities of human motivation and the influence of factors beyond conscious control. The question of the meaning of life, too, takes on a different dimension when viewed through the lens of this discussion. If free will is an illusion, does this diminish the significance of our existence? Quite the contrary, it might enhance it. The realization that our actions are shaped by a complex interplay of factors, conscious and unconscious, internal and external, can lead to a deeper appreciation for the interconnectedness of life and the profound influence we have, even without absolute free will, on the world around us. It is in this interconnectedness, in the shared human experience, and in the pursuit of understanding ourselves and each other that we might find a richer, more profound sense of purpose. This journey of self-discovery is not diminished, but rather enhanced by the thoughtful exploration of the illusion of free will. Let's gently explore some of the philosophical viewpoints that have grappled with the age-old question of free will versus determinism. Determinism suggests that all events, including our choices, are causally determined by prior events and the laws of nature. Imagine a vast, intricate clockwork mechanism, where every gear and cog precisely interacts, leading to a predetermined outcome. In this framework, our sense of choosing is merely an illusion, a subjective experience overlaying a predetermined sequence of events. Compatibilism, however, offers a different perspective. It attempts to reconcile free will with determinism by suggesting that free will doesn't require the absence of causal influences. Instead, it focuses on the concept of acting according to one's desires and intentions, even if those desires and intentions themselves are products of prior causes. It's like navigating a river. The current may influence your course, but you still have the capacity to steer your boat, to some degree, towards your chosen destination. Then there's libertarianism, which champions the notion of genuine free will, suggesting that we possess the capacity to make choices that are not entirely determined by prior events. It proposes that our consciousness possesses a unique ability to transcend the deterministic chain of cause and effect, allowing us to truly initiate actions independently. This view often invokes the idea of self-causation, the ability of the self to be the ultimate source of its own actions. These philosophical viewpoints are not mutually exclusive, nor do they necessarily offer definitive answers. They represent different ways of framing the complex interplay between our subjective experience of agency and the underlying physical processes of our brains and bodies. Instead of seeking to definitively resolve the debate, perhaps the most fruitful approach is to appreciate the nuances of each perspective, recognizing that the question of free will remains a profound and enduring mystery, a gentle puzzle that continues to challenge our understanding of ourselves and the universe we inhabit. Each perspective offers a different lens through which to view the human experience, each with its own unique insights and implications. The ongoing contemplation of these ideas is, in itself, a rewarding journey. So, we find ourselves at the culmination of this gentle exploration, a journey into the fascinating and perhaps slightly unsettling world of free will. Even if the neuroscientific evidence suggests that our conscious experience of choice might be a post hoc narrative, a story our minds weave to make sense of predetermined events, the wonder of consciousness itself remains profoundly untouched. The very fact that we can ponder this question, that we can grapple with the complexities of determinism and the allure of libertarianism, speaks to the remarkable nature of our minds. Consider the vastness of the cosmos, the intricate dance of molecules within our cells, the sheer complexity of the human brain, a 3-pound organ capable of generating subjective experience, of creating art, music, and philosophy. The mystery of how consciousness arises from physical matter remains one of the greatest unsolved puzzles of science. Whether or not we possess absolute free will, the capacity to consciously reflect on our existence, to ponder our place in the universe, is a privilege in itself. The illusion of free will, if it is indeed an illusion, doesn't diminish the beauty and significance of the human experience. It simply invites us to approach ourselves and others with greater compassion and understanding. It encourages empathy, recognizing that our actions are not solely determined by individual choice, but are also shaped by a multitude of biological, psychological, and environmental factors. Perhaps it's a gentle invitation to let go of rigid judgments, to embrace the complexity of human behavior, and to appreciate the inherent fragility and wonder of our conscious existence. The journey into the heart of this question, the exploration of free will, isn't about reaching a definitive conclusion, but about expanding our understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. Let the gentle hum of these ideas lull you into a peaceful slumber, a sleep filled with the quiet wonder of being alive, conscious, and capable of such profound contemplation. The mystery, in the end, may be the most beautiful part of all. As we begin our exploration into the fascinating and often perplexing concept of free will, let's first consider its common understanding. Most of us, in our everyday lives, experience a strong sense of agency. We feel we make choices, we decide what to eat, where to go, what to think. This feeling, this intuitive conviction that we are the authors of our own actions, is deeply ingrained within us. It forms the bedrock of our personal responsibility, our sense of self, and our interactions with the world around us. Imagine the simple act of choosing a book to read. You browse the shelves, your eyes scanning titles and covers, perhaps pausing to consider a synopsis or the author's reputation. You feel a sense of deliberation, a weighing of options, before finally selecting a book. The feeling of choice, of conscious decision-making, is undeniable. This is the everyday experience of free will, the unshakable belief that you, and you alone, are the architect of your own decisions. This intuitive understanding is deeply intertwined with our moral and legal systems. We hold individuals accountable for their actions, believing that they could have chosen otherwise. Our justice system, for instance, is largely based on this premise, the assumption that individuals are responsible for their choices and can be held accountable for them. This fundamental belief in individual agency permeates our societal structures and shapes our relationships with each other. Yet, as we delve deeper, we encounter a subtle yet profound challenge to this seemingly straightforward concept. The very nature of choice, the feeling of deliberate decision-making, might be more complex than it initially appears. This is where the concept of the illusion of free will begins to emerge, a concept that doesn't negate the importance of our choices, but instead invites us to consider the intricate processes underlying our seemingly free decisions. The journey to understand this complexity is what awaits us. Now, let's gently turn our attention to the fascinating world of neuroscience and how its discoveries have begun to reshape our understanding of decision-making. Recent research using brain imaging techniques, such as fMRI, has revealed intriguing patterns of activity within the brain preceding our conscious awareness of making a choice. In several experiments, researchers have observed that measurable neural activity related to a decision can be detected in the brain before the individual consciously reports making that decision. This is a remarkable finding. It suggests that the conscious experience of making a choice might be a kind of after-the-fact narrative, a story our conscious mind constructs to explain actions already initiated by unconscious processes within the brain. Imagine a conductor leading an orchestra. The conductor might appear to be making decisions in real time, but in reality, the music's unfolding was largely determined by the intricate interplay of individual musicians, their instruments, and the precomposed score. Similarly, our conscious experience might be a kind of retrospective interpretation of processes already set in motion within the complex network of our brains. This doesn't imply that our conscious minds are irrelevant. Rather, it suggests a more intricate relationship between conscious awareness and the underlying neural mechanisms. Our conscious thoughts, feelings, and intentions undoubtedly play a role, but they may be working within a framework established by unconscious processes. Think of it like navigating a ship. While the captain sets the overall course, the currents, winds, and the ship's mechanics all subtly influence the actual trajectory. It's crucial to understand that this neuroscientific evidence doesn't necessarily negate the importance of our conscious experiences. The feeling of agency, the sense of making a choice, remains a powerful and significant aspect of our lives. However, these discoveries encourage us to move beyond a simplistic view of free will as a purely conscious act, leading us to consider the complex interplay between conscious intention and unconscious neural processes. This deeper understanding opens up exciting new avenues for exploring the nature of consciousness and its role in our behavior. The implications of this are profound and will continue to unfold as our scientific understanding deepens. Let's delve a little deeper into this fascinating interplay between the objective findings of neuroscience and the subjective experience of choice. We've explored how neuroscientific studies suggest that unconscious brain activity often precedes our conscious awareness of making a decision. But this raises a crucial question. If our brains are already deciding before we consciously become aware of it, what is the nature of that conscious experience of choice? Is it merely an illusion, a retrospective narrative constructed to give a sense of agency to actions already determined? The feeling of making a free choice is deeply ingrained in our subjective experience. It's the foundation of our sense of self, our moral responsibility, and our sense of personal agency. This subjective feeling is so compelling, so powerful, that it can be difficult to reconcile it with the objective findings of neuroscience that suggest our conscious choices might be downstream consequences of unconscious brain processes. Consider this: you're faced with a decision, perhaps choosing between two desserts. Your conscious mind weighs the options, considering taste, calories, and perhaps even ethical considerations concerning the ingredients. You feel you're actively participating in the decision-making process, carefully deliberating before making your choice. Yet, neuroscience suggests that your brain might have already begun leaning toward a particular dessert long before your conscious mind began its deliberations. The conscious experience of choice, then, may be more of a feeling of ownership over a decision already largely determined. This doesn't diminish the importance of conscious deliberation. It simply recontextualizes it. Our conscious minds are undeniably powerful tools for planning, strategizing, and reflecting on our choices. But they might be working within a framework established by unconscious processes, refining and adjusting rather than initiating the decision-making process. The discrepancy between the objective, deterministic processes in the brain and the subjective experience of free will presents a compelling philosophical puzzle. It challenges us to reconsider the very nature of consciousness, selfhood, and responsibility. The feeling of making a choice, the sense of agency, remains a profound and significant aspect of the human experience, even if its relationship to the underlying neural processes is more nuanced than we might intuitively assume. This exploration leads us to a profound appreciation for the enigmatic complexity of the human mind and the enduring mystery of consciousness. The subjective experience, however deeply ingrained, may not be the whole story. The implications of questioning free will are far-reaching, extending beyond the purely scientific into the realms of personal responsibility, morality, and the very meaning of life. If our actions are, to a significant degree, predetermined by unconscious processes within our brains, how do we reconcile this with our deeply ingrained sense of moral accountability? Do we still hold individuals responsible for their actions, or does a deterministic view necessitate a shift in our understanding of blame and punishment? The traditional view of justice often hinges on the assumption of free will. We punish criminals because we believe they chose to commit their crimes, that they could have acted differently. But if neuroscience suggests otherwise, if our actions are largely determined by factors outside of our conscious control, does the concept of retributive justice still hold water? Perhaps a more restorative approach, focused on rehabilitation and understanding the underlying causes of harmful behavior, might be more appropriate. This doesn't imply a dismissal of moral responsibility altogether. Instead, it invites a more nuanced understanding of human behavior. We can still strive to create a just and ethical society, but perhaps our focus should shift from assigning blame to fostering understanding, empathy, and support. Recognizing the complex interplay of conscious and unconscious processes in shaping our actions can lead to more compassionate and effective approaches to social problems. The question of meaning also undergoes a transformation. If our lives are not entirely self-authored, if our paths are shaped by factors beyond our conscious control, does this diminish their significance? The answer, I believe, is a resounding no. The beauty and wonder of life lie not just in the illusion of absolute control, but in the unfolding journey itself, in the intricate dance between conscious intention and unconscious processes. Even within a deterministic framework, the richness of human experience, the capacity for love, compassion, and creativity remain profoundly meaningful. The exploration of free will doesn't necessarily lead to nihilism or despair. Instead, it offers an opportunity for a deeper understanding of ourselves, our actions, and our place in the universe. It invites us to cultivate empathy, compassion, and a more nuanced approach to justice and personal responsibility. The journey of self-discovery continues, even as we grapple with the complexities of consciousness and the seemingly illusory nature of our choices. Perhaps, in accepting the limits of our control, we find a greater appreciation for the inherent beauty and mystery of existence. Let's gently explore some philosophical viewpoints on the intricate dance between determinism and free will. Determinism, in its simplest form, suggests that all events, including our choices, are causally predetermined. Imagine a vast, intricate clockwork mechanism, where every cog and gear is precisely interconnected, leading inevitably to the next moment. From this perspective, the illusion of choice is merely a subjective experience, a narrative we construct to make sense of a preordained reality. However, this perspective doesn't necessarily diminish the richness of human experience. Even within a deterministic framework, the beauty of a sunset, the joy of a shared laugh, the profound connection of love remain deeply meaningful. The experience itself holds value, irrespective of its ultimate causal origins. Compatibilism offers a different perspective, suggesting that free will and determinism aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. Perhaps free will isn't about absolute, unconstrained choice, but about acting in accordance with one's desires and intentions, even within a deterministic framework. Our choices might be influenced by myriad factors, yet they still feel authentically ours. Then there's libertarianism, which champions the notion of genuine, unconstrained choice. This perspective emphasizes the power of consciousness, the ability to transcend causal chains and make truly free decisions. It highlights the subjective experience of agency, the feeling that we are the authors of our own lives. These philosophical positions offer different lenses through which to view the complex question of free will. There's no single, universally accepted answer. The very nature of the debate highlights the profound mystery at the heart of consciousness. Perhaps the most important aspect of this exploration isn't finding a definitive answer, but engaging in the quiet contemplation of these ideas, allowing them to gently reshape our understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe. The exploration itself, the act of questioning and pondering, is a journey worth undertaking. It's a journey that invites us to appreciate the subtle interplay of cause and effect, conscious intention, and the profound mystery of human experience. The search for understanding in itself enriches our lives. And as we continue this journey of self-discovery, we can find comfort in the ongoing exploration, the quiet contemplation, and the gentle acceptance of the unknown. So, we find ourselves at the end of this gentle exploration, having pondered the intricate relationship between neuroscience, philosophy, and the captivating enigma of free will. The journey has led us through fascinating landscapes, from the intricate workings of the brain to the abstract realms of philosophical debate. And what have we discovered? Perhaps not definitive answers, but a deeper appreciation for the profound mystery at the heart of human experience. Even if the illusion of free will proves to be just that, an illusion, the wonder of consciousness remains undiminished. The capacity for subjective experience, for feeling joy, sorrow, love, and awe, remains a remarkable and awe-inspiring phenomenon. The intricate tapestry of our thoughts, emotions, and perceptions, woven together by the complex machinery of the brain, is a testament to the breathtaking complexity of life itself. Consider the feeling of sunlight warming your skin, the taste of a ripe strawberry, the sheer beauty of a starry night sky. These experiences, regardless of their causal origins, hold intrinsic value. They are moments of connection, moments of being fully present in the world, moments that enrich our lives immeasurably. And it is within these moments, within this rich tapestry of experience, that the human spirit finds its meaning. The question of free will, while intellectually stimulating, doesn't diminish the profound beauty and wonder of our existence. Perhaps the very act of questioning, of seeking understanding, is a testament to the unique and remarkable nature of consciousness. It's a testament to our capacity for introspection, for self-awareness, for striving to understand our place in the vast universe. Let us embrace the mystery. Let us cherish the moments of connection, the moments of joy, the moments of profound wonder. The exploration of free will in all its complexities has ultimately led us to a deeper appreciation for the intrinsic value of human experience, the beauty of consciousness, and the remarkable journey of being alive. As you drift off to sleep, allow these thoughts to linger, to settle gently into the quiet spaces of your mind, and to bring you a sense of peace and wonder. Good night. As we begin our exploration into the fascinating, and sometimes perplexing, concept of free will, let's first ground ourselves in its common understanding. Most of us, in our everyday lives, experience a strong sense of agency. We feel we make choices, that we are the authors of our actions, the captains of our own destinies. This intuitive feeling, this deeply ingrained sense of self-determination, is the foundation of our understanding of free will. Think about it. You decide what to eat for breakfast, what clothes to wear, what path to take on your daily walk. These seemingly simple decisions, multiplied countless times throughout the day, cumulatively shape the course of your life. This sense of choice, this feeling of being in control, is so pervasive that it rarely occurs to us to question it. We operate on the assumption that we are free to choose, that our actions are a direct result of our conscious decisions. This common understanding of free will is deeply intertwined with our sense of responsibility and morality. We hold individuals accountable for their actions, praising those who choose good and condemning those who choose ill. Our legal systems, our social structures, and our personal relationships are all built upon this fundamental assumption, that individuals are capable of making free choices and should be held responsible for the consequences. But beneath the surface of this seemingly straightforward concept lies a profound complexity. What truly constitutes a free choice? Is it simply a conscious decision, free from external coercion? Or are there deeper, more subtle forces at play, shaping our preferences, influencing our motivations, and ultimately determining our actions? This question, as we will explore, has been a source of intense debate among philosophers and scientists for centuries. The intuitive feeling of free will, so deeply ingrained in our consciousness, is challenged by the ever-growing understanding of the human brain and the complex interplay of factors that influence our thoughts, feelings, and behavior. And so, we embark on a journey to explore the fascinating intersection of neuroscience, philosophy, and the age-old question of whether we truly are the masters of our own fate. The journey may lead to unexpected insights, but one thing is certain: The exploration itself is a testament to the very consciousness we are questioning. Now, let's delve into the fascinating world of neuroscience and explore the evidence that challenges our intuitive understanding of free will. Imagine a scenario where advanced brain imaging technology allows us to observe the intricate electrical activity within your brain as you make a decision. What would we see? Remarkably, studies using techniques like EEG and fMRI have shown that unconscious brain activity often precedes conscious awareness of a decision. In other words, your brain may already be preparing to act before you even consciously become aware of your intention to act. This intriguing finding suggests that the conscious experience of making a choice might be a kind of post hoc narrative, a story we tell ourselves to make sense of our actions, rather than the true cause of those actions. Consider the simple act of pressing a button. Before you consciously decide to press the button, neural activity related to the motor action might already be detectable in your brain. This readiness potential, as it's sometimes called, suggests that the decision-making process might be underway well before your conscious mind registers the intention. Of course, this doesn't imply that we are mere automatons, completely devoid of agency. The complexity of the human brain is far beyond our current understanding, and the interplay between conscious and unconscious processes remains a subject of ongoing research. However, these neuroscientific findings raise profound questions about the nature of choice and the degree to which we are truly in control of our actions. It's important to remember that neuroscience doesn't aim to diminish the human experience. Rather, it offers a new perspective, a deeper understanding of the intricate mechanisms that shape our behavior. The feeling of making a free choice remains profoundly real, even if the underlying neurological processes suggest a more complex picture than we might initially assume. The mystery and wonder of consciousness, the subjective experience of being human, remain as compelling as ever, even as we grapple with the implications of these scientific insights. This, in essence, is where the illusion of free will begins to take shape. It's a gentle invitation to reconsider, not to reject, our deeply held beliefs. Let's now gently explore the fascinating disconnect between the subjective experience of choice and the potentially deterministic processes unfolding within our brains. We all have that familiar feeling, that inner sense of making a conscious decision, of freely choosing between different options. This feeling, this subjective experience, is undeniably real and profoundly impactful on our lives. It shapes our sense of self, our understanding of responsibility, and our interactions with the world around us. Yet, as we've discussed, neuroscientific evidence suggests that the brain's intricate mechanisms might be at work long before we become consciously aware of our choice. This raises a compelling question. How can we reconcile this subjective experience of free will with the seemingly deterministic nature of brain processes? One way to approach this is to consider the brain's activity as a complex symphony, a vast network of interconnected neurons firing in intricate patterns. Our conscious awareness might be akin to a conductor, interpreting the symphony, assigning meaning to the unfolding events, but not necessarily composing or orchestrating the entire performance. The music itself, the neural activity, might be largely predetermined by a multitude of factors, including genetics, environment, and past experiences. Yet, our subjective experience is one of conscious choice and agency. This disconnect isn't necessarily a contradiction. It may simply reflect the limitations of our conscious awareness. Our conscious minds might be privy only to a small fraction of the brain's activity, a carefully curated summary rather than the full, unfiltered reality. The feeling of making a free choice might be a useful narrative, a way for our consciousness to make sense of the complex, often unconscious processes that drive our behavior. The exploration of this subjective-objective divide highlights the profound mystery of consciousness itself. It invites us to contemplate the nature of experience, the relationship between mind and brain, and the limitations of our understanding of both. The feeling of free will, the subjective experience of agency, remains a powerful and significant aspect of the human condition, even as we continue to unravel the intricacies of the brain's mechanisms. This understanding allows us to move forward with empathy and a deeper appreciation for the complexity of human behavior. Now, let's consider the profound implications of questioning the existence of free will. If our actions are indeed determined by factors beyond our conscious control, How does this affect our understanding of personal responsibility and morality? The very foundations of our legal and ethical systems rest on the assumption of free will, the idea that individuals are accountable for their choices and actions. If this assumption is challenged, what then? The immediate reaction might be one of unease, even anxiety. The comforting notion that we are masters of our own destinies, that we are ultimately in charge of our lives, is powerfully appealing. However, exploring the possibility of a lack of free will doesn't necessarily lead to moral nihilism or a collapse of ethical frameworks. Rather, it invites a reevaluation of our approach to responsibility and morality. Consider the concept of blame. If our actions are largely determined by factors beyond our conscious control, does it make sense to place blame solely on the individual? Perhaps a more nuanced understanding is needed, one that acknowledges the complex interplay of genetics, environment, and upbringing. This doesn't negate the impact of harmful actions, but it shifts the focus from assigning blame to understanding the root causes of behavior, fostering empathy and compassion. This shift could lead to significant changes in our legal and social systems. A justice system that focuses on rehabilitation and understanding rather than solely on punishment might emerge, prioritizing restorative practices and societal support. Punishment might still be necessary in certain instances, but with a greater emphasis on reform and preventing future harm. The meaning of life, too, takes on a different hue when we consider the possibility that our actions aren't entirely free. The search for meaning might shift from a focus on individual achievement and self-determination to a deeper appreciation for the interconnectedness of all things, the beauty of the human experience, and the profound mystery of consciousness itself. Perhaps the meaning of life isn't about controlling our destiny, but about embracing the journey, with all its complexities and uncertainties, and finding joy and purpose within the unfolding narrative of existence. The absence of absolute free will, if true, doesn't diminish the value of our experiences or the importance of living a meaningful life. Let's gently explore some of the philosophical viewpoints surrounding free will and determinism. These are complex ideas, and there are no easy answers, no definitive conclusions. Instead, let's consider these perspectives as different lenses through which we can view the fascinating puzzle of human experience. Determinism suggests that all events, including our choices, are causally determined by prior events. Imagine a vast, intricate web of cause and effect, stretching back through time. Within this framework, our actions are not truly free, but rather the inevitable outcome of a long chain of preceding events. This doesn't necessarily diminish the complexity or wonder of human behavior, but it does shift the focus from individual agency to the intricate interplay of forces shaping our lives. Libertarianism, on the other hand, champions the notion of free will. It asserts that we do possess genuine freedom of choice, that our decisions are not simply the result of prior causes. This perspective emphasizes our capacity for self-determination, our ability to shape our own destinies. It aligns more closely with our intuitive sense of agency, the feeling that we are in control of our choices. Compatibilism attempts to bridge the gap between these two seemingly opposing viewpoints. It suggests that free will and determinism are not mutually exclusive. We might be influenced by various factors, yet still possess a degree of freedom within those constraints. Our choices might be influenced, but not entirely predetermined. This perspective acknowledges the complexities of causation while still allowing for a meaningful sense of personal agency. It's important to remember that these are just frameworks for understanding, not rigid doctrines. The debate surrounding free will remains a vibrant and ongoing conversation, engaging philosophers, neuroscientists, and theologians alike. There is no single, universally accepted answer. The beauty of exploring these ideas lies not in finding a definitive solution, but in the process of thoughtful reflection and the expansion of our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The journey of inquiry itself is perhaps as significant as any destination. As we gently ponder these perspectives, let us remain open to the possibility of multiple truths coexisting, enriching our understanding of the human experience. So, we've journeyed through the fascinating and sometimes perplexing landscape of free will. We've explored the scientific evidence that challenges our intuitive sense of agency, and we've delved into the philosophical frameworks that attempt to reconcile our subjective experience with the potentially deterministic nature of the universe. And what have we learned? Perhaps paradoxically, that the very act of questioning, of pondering these profound mysteries, is itself a testament to the remarkable nature of consciousness. Even if our choices are not entirely free in the strictest sense, the experience of making them, of weighing options, of feeling the weight of consequence, this is a profoundly human experience. The very act of self-reflection, of contemplating our own existence and the choices we make, is a testament to the extraordinary complexity and beauty of the conscious mind. It is this capacity for introspection, this awareness of our own inner world, that sets us apart. The illusion of free will, if indeed it is an illusion, is a remarkably compelling one. It fuels our hopes, our dreams, our aspirations. It drives us to strive for improvement, to learn, to grow. It motivates us to connect with others, to build relationships, to leave our mark on the world. Whether or not our actions are ultimately predetermined, the subjective experience of choosing, of striving, of shaping our own lives, remains a powerful and meaningful aspect of the human condition. The ongoing debate about free will serves not only to illuminate the complexities of human behavior, but also to highlight the incredible capacity of the human mind to grapple with its own existence. The quest for understanding, the exploration of these fundamental questions, is a testament to our intellectual curiosity and our innate desire to make sense of our place in the universe. It is in this very search, in this ongoing conversation, that we find a deeper appreciation for the wonder and mystery of consciousness itself. Let the unanswered questions linger, not as sources of anxiety, but as reminders of the boundless depths of the human spirit. And as you drift off to sleep, may this quiet contemplation bring you peace and a sense of wonder. As we gently begin our exploration, let's consider the very foundation of our inquiry, the concept of free will itself. Close your eyes for a moment and reflect on the choices you've made today. Perhaps you chose what to wear, what to eat for breakfast, or which route to take to work. These seemingly small decisions, woven together, create the tapestry of your life. This intuitive sense of agency, this feeling that you are the author of your actions, forms the bedrock of our common understanding of free will. It's a deeply ingrained belief woven into the fabric of our everyday lives. We praise those who make good choices and hold accountable those who make bad ones. Our legal systems, our moral codes, our very social structures are built upon the premise that individuals are responsible for their actions because they have the freedom to choose otherwise. This is a profoundly human experience, a fundamental aspect of our self-perception. Think back to a pivotal moment in your life, a decision that shaped your path. Did you feel a sense of autonomy, of genuine choice? Did you weigh the options, consider the consequences, and ultimately decide based on your own desires and values? This feeling of conscious deliberation, of actively participating in the shaping of one's own destiny, is the heart of what we often mean by free will. It's a sense of authorship, a feeling of being in control of our own lives, even amidst the complexities and uncertainties of existence. This intrinsic belief forms the foundation of our understanding of personal responsibility and moral accountability. It is this inherent sense of choice that we will now explore in the light of scientific findings and philosophical perspectives. Let us embark on this gentle journey of understanding, acknowledging the depth and complexity of the concept we are about to examine. Now, let's gently turn our attention to the fascinating insights offered by neuroscience. Recent research using advanced brain imaging techniques has revealed a captivating interplay between conscious awareness and unconscious brain activity. These studies suggest that our brains may begin preparing for actions, even complex ones, before we are consciously aware of making the decision to act. Imagine this: you're presented with two buttons, and you're instructed to press one at will. You feel you're making a completely free choice, a spontaneous decision. Yet, brain scans often reveal a pattern of neural activity leading up to the moment you consciously decide. This activity, often occurring milliseconds before your conscious awareness of the choice, suggests that your brain may have already decided before you even knew it. This doesn't mean that your conscious experience is irrelevant. It merely suggests a more complex picture of decision-making than our intuitive understanding might suggest. The conscious experience of choice might be a kind of post hoc narrative, a story our minds construct to make sense of what our brains have already initiated. It's a fascinating glimpse into the intricate workings of our minds, revealing a level of complexity that challenges our simplistic notions of free will. Consider the implications. If unconscious processes are laying the groundwork for our actions before we're consciously aware of them, where does that leave our sense of agency? Are we truly the authors of our actions, or are we simply along for the ride, observing the unfolding of predetermined neural pathways? These are not questions to be answered definitively here, but rather gentle prompts for contemplation, invitations to explore the subtle interplay between conscious experience and unconscious processes. The research isn't aiming to diminish the importance of our subjective experience, but rather to enrich our understanding of the intricate mechanisms that shape our choices. It invites us to embrace a more nuanced understanding of ourselves, recognizing the profound interaction between our conscious minds and the vast, unconscious landscape of our brains. This understanding, in its own right, can be profoundly liberating. Let's delve a little deeper into this fascinating disconnect, the subjective feeling of making a free choice versus the objective neurological evidence suggesting otherwise. The experience of choosing, of consciously deliberating and then acting, is undeniably powerful and deeply personal. It forms the bedrock of our sense of self, our agency, our moral responsibility. This feeling, this visceral experience of making a decision, is real and profoundly meaningful, even if the underlying neurological processes might suggest a different story. Imagine choosing a book from a shelf. You browse, consider the covers, perhaps recall previous readings. You feel the weight of your decision, the conscious act of selection. Yet, as we've explored, neuroscientific studies suggest that your brain might have already begun preparing for the choice, perhaps even leaning towards a particular book, before you were consciously aware of your preferences. This doesn't diminish the experience of choosing. Rather, it adds another layer of complexity. The subjective experience remains profoundly real, a testament to the power and mystery of consciousness. It's as if our consciousness is a kind of narrator, weaving a compelling story around the events unfolding within our brains. This story, while perhaps not entirely reflecting the full, intricate reality of neurological processes, is nonetheless crucial to our sense of self and our navigation of the world. It's like watching a film. You understand the narrative, you're moved by the characters, you experience the emotional arc of the story. Yet, behind the scenes, a vast team of technicians, editors, and directors orchestrated the entire production. The narrative you experience is real, deeply affecting, and completely valid, even though it's the result of a complex, behind-the-scenes process. In the same way, the subjective experience of choice, the feeling of agency, is profoundly real and meaningful, even if the underlying mechanisms are far more intricate than we might initially imagine. It's this very tension, this interplay between objective observation and subjective experience, that makes the exploration of free will so endlessly captivating. The mystery remains, inviting us to continue our quiet contemplation. The question of personal responsibility, a cornerstone of our moral and legal systems, takes on a new dimension when we consider the potential limitations of free will. If our actions are, to some extent, predetermined by unconscious brain processes, how do we assign blame or praise? The answer isn't a simple one, and it's not meant to be a judgment, but rather a gentle invitation to explore the complexities of human behavior. Perhaps a shift in perspective is needed. Instead of focusing solely on retribution, we might emphasize rehabilitation, understanding, and compassion. If our actions are shaped by a complex interplay of factors beyond our immediate conscious control, genetics, upbringing, environment, and unconscious biases, then a punitive approach might be less effective than one that focuses on addressing the root causes of problematic behavior. This doesn't imply a dismissal of accountability. Instead, it suggests a more nuanced approach, one that acknowledges both individual agency and the broader context within which individuals operate. Think of it as a spectrum, not a dichotomy. Some actions clearly stem from conscious, deliberate choices, while others may be influenced more strongly by unconscious factors. The challenge lies in discerning where on this spectrum each action falls, recognizing the complexities involved, and responding with empathy and understanding. Furthermore, the meaning of life, often framed in terms of choice and self-determination, might be reevaluated. If free will is not absolute, does this diminish the importance of our existence? Not necessarily. The search for meaning might shift from a focus on absolute control to an appreciation of the unfolding journey, the intricate dance of conscious and unconscious processes, and the profound beauty of human experience. The inherent mystery of consciousness, the subjective richness of our inner lives, and the enduring power of empathy remain unaffected. Even if the mechanisms of our actions are not entirely under our conscious control, our capacity for love, compassion, creativity, and self-reflection endures. It is in these very capacities that we may discover a deeper, more meaningful understanding of what it means to be human. And perhaps in this quiet contemplation, we find a different kind of freedom, the freedom to understand, to empathize, and to live more fully within the context of our shared humanity. Let's gently explore some of the philosophical viewpoints surrounding free will and determinism. Determinism, in its simplest form, suggests that all events, including our choices, are causally determined by prior events. Imagine a vast, intricate clockwork mechanism where each cog turns inevitably, leading to the next. This doesn't negate the complexity or beauty of the mechanism, just the element of unpredictable, spontaneous choice. Libertarianism, in contrast, champions the notion of genuine free will, the power to choose otherwise. It proposes that our choices are not simply the inevitable outcome of prior causes, but arise from a unique capacity for self-determination, a spark of agency that transcends the deterministic chain. This perspective often emphasizes the subjective experience of choice, that feeling of making a decision that could have gone another way. Compatibilism offers a middle ground, attempting to reconcile the seemingly conflicting ideas of determinism and free will. It suggests that free will and determinism are not mutually exclusive. We might be influenced by prior events, yet still possess a degree of freedom within the constraints of those influences. Think of a river flowing within a defined channel. Its course is determined by the riverbed, yet the water still flows, meanders, and finds its own path within those boundaries. These perspectives offer different lenses through which to view human action, each with its own merits and limitations. There's no need to choose a side or declare a winner in this philosophical debate. The value lies in contemplating these different viewpoints, allowing them to subtly reshape our understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe. It's a quiet contemplation, a gentle exploration of the human condition, not a battle to be won. The richness of these perspectives lies not in definitive answers, but in the questions they raise. They invite us to consider the intricate tapestry of influences shaping our lives, the interplay between conscious intent and unconscious drives, and the enduring mystery of human agency. It's a journey of self-discovery, a gentle unfolding of understanding, rather than a race to a predetermined conclusion. And in that very process of questioning and exploring, we might find a deeper sense of ourselves, of our connection to the world, and of the profound and enduring mystery of human existence. So, we've journeyed through the fascinating and sometimes unsettling landscape of free will. We've explored the intriguing evidence from neuroscience, the captivating arguments of philosophy, and the nuanced perspectives that attempt to bridge the gap between our subjective experience and the objective reality of our brains. And where does that leave us? Not with definitive answers, perhaps, but with a profound appreciation for the wonder and mystery of consciousness itself. Even if the strict definition of absolute free will proves elusive, the richness of our inner lives remains undiminished. The feeling of making choices, of shaping our destinies, remains a powerful and deeply meaningful part of the human experience. This subjective experience, this sense of agency, is not simply an illusion to be dismissed. It's a vital component of what makes us human. Consider the intricate dance between conscious intention and unconscious processes. Our brains, those astonishingly complex organs, are constantly working, weaving a tapestry of thoughts, emotions, and impulses. The conscious mind, with its sense of self and intentionality, navigates this intricate web, shaping and being shaped by the currents beneath the surface. It's a dynamic interplay, a continuous process of creation and response, of intention and consequence. The very act of questioning the nature of free will, of exploring the philosophical and neuroscientific perspectives, is a testament to our capacity for self-reflection, for critical thinking, and for grappling with the fundamental mysteries of our existence. It's a journey of self-discovery, a process of deepening our understanding of ourselves and our place in the vast universe. Perhaps the most profound takeaway isn't a conclusive answer to the age-old question of free will, but rather a deepening appreciation for the intricate, awe-inspiring complexity of the human mind. The mystery remains, but within that mystery lies a profound sense of wonder, a recognition of the intricate beauty and inherent value of conscious experience, however it may be ultimately defined. And in that mystery, in that ongoing exploration, lies a quiet peace, a gentle acceptance of the unknown, and a deep appreciation for the incredible journey of being human. Let this thought settle upon you now, as you drift towards a peaceful sleep. As we settle into this exploration of free will, let's begin with a gentle consideration of what it actually means to us. The concept of free will, in its most intuitive sense, is the ability to make choices independently, without external coercion or predetermined constraints. It's the feeling that we, as individuals, are the authors of our own lives, the captains of our own destinies. Think about it. The seemingly simple act of choosing what to eat for dinner, the momentous decision of choosing a career path, the everyday act of deciding whether to take a walk or stay indoors. All these choices, big and small, are woven into the fabric of our daily lives. We experience them as acts of our own volition, expressions of our personal preferences and desires. This inherent sense of agency, this feeling of self-determination, is a fundamental aspect of our self-understanding. This intuitive understanding of free will is deeply ingrained in our culture and our legal systems. We hold individuals accountable for their actions, based on the assumption that they possess the capacity to choose between right and wrong. Our justice systems, our social contracts, and even our personal relationships are all built upon this foundational belief in individual responsibility. It's the bedrock upon which we construct our moral frameworks and our social interactions. However, as we delve deeper into the intricacies of the human brain and the complexities of consciousness, this intuitive understanding begins to encounter some intriguing challenges. Neuroscience, with its remarkable advancements in brain imaging and cognitive psychology, offers glimpses into the inner workings of our minds, revealing a level of complexity that often defies our simplistic notions of free will. But before we explore these challenges, let us pause and acknowledge the profound and deeply meaningful nature of this subjective experience of choice. It is this very experience that we will be carefully examining in the sections to come. This feeling of agency, this sense of self-determination, is an integral part of what it means to be human, even if the underlying mechanisms prove to be more intricate than we initially imagined. Now, let's gently explore the fascinating insights offered by neuroscience into the intricate processes of decision-making. Modern brain imaging techniques such as fMRI and EEG allow us to peer into the brain's activity as we make choices, revealing a complex interplay of neural signals that unfolds before we're even consciously aware of our decision. Studies have shown that measurable brain activity often precedes the conscious experience of making a choice. In other words, the brain seems to decide before we consciously become aware of having made a decision. This doesn't mean that our conscious thoughts and feelings play no role, but it does suggest that the process of decision-making might be far more complex and less straightforward than we intuitively assume. Imagine a symphony orchestra. The conductor guides the musicians, but the individual instruments all play their parts autonomously, contributing to the overall performance. Our conscious awareness might be akin to the conductor, giving the impression of control, while the underlying neural processes are the orchestra itself, playing out a complex interplay. This intriguing finding challenges the traditional notion of free will as a purely conscious and deliberate act. It suggests that unconscious processes, operating beneath the surface of our awareness, might exert a significant influence on our choices. This isn't to say that we are mere puppets, controlled by unseen forces. Instead, it invites us to consider a more nuanced perspective, acknowledging the intricate interplay between conscious and unconscious processes in shaping our decisions. The beauty lies in the complexity, in the seamless dance between our awareness and the intricate workings of our brains. It's a process of discovery, unveiling layer upon layer of understanding as we gently consider the depths of human consciousness. We are not simply conscious beings. We are also beings of unconscious processes, shaping our choices and actions in ways we may not fully comprehend. The journey of understanding our own minds is a continuous exploration, a gentle unfolding of awareness. Even as neuroscience reveals the complex interplay of unconscious brain processes in decision-making, the subjective experience of choice remains a powerful and undeniable aspect of human consciousness. That feeling, the inner sense of agency, of making a deliberate choice, is profoundly real and deeply meaningful. It shapes our sense of self, our interactions with others, and our understanding of the world. This subjective experience, this feeling of choosing, is not easily dismissed, even in light of neuroscientific findings. Imagine the simple act of reaching for a glass of water. The decision might seem instantaneous, a straightforward act of will. Yet, underlying this seemingly simple action is a complex orchestration of neural signals, motor commands, and sensory feedback, all unfolding in a fraction of a second. Neuroscience might reveal the intricate choreography of these underlying processes, but it doesn't diminish the feeling of conscious choice, the sense that you decided to reach for the water. The potential disconnect between the deterministic processes in the brain and the subjective experience of choice raises fascinating questions. It suggests that our conscious awareness might not have complete access to the full complexity of our decision-making processes. We might be aware of the result, the conscious decision, while the underlying mechanisms remain largely hidden from our immediate awareness. It's like watching the surface of a vast ocean, noticing the waves and currents, without fully comprehending the deep underwater currents and tectonic plates that shape them. This perspective doesn't negate the importance of personal responsibility or diminish the value of our choices. Instead, it invites us to view human agency with a newfound depth and appreciation. It suggests that our conscious experience, while not necessarily the sole driver of our actions, remains a vital and integral part of who we are. The interplay between the conscious and unconscious, the subjective and the objective, is a dance of complexity, a subtle and beautiful interaction that shapes our every action and experience. It's a reminder of the vast, unexplored territory within our own minds, a gentle invitation to further contemplation and self-discovery. The question of free will's impact on personal responsibility is a profound one, stirring contemplation about our moral compass and the very meaning we ascribe to our lives. If our actions are, to some extent, predetermined by complex neurological processes beyond our conscious control, how do we reconcile this with our deeply held sense of moral accountability? The idea that our choices aren't entirely free might initially seem unsettling, potentially undermining the foundations of our justice systems and ethical frameworks. However, rather than dismantling our moral compass, a deeper understanding of the complexities of the brain can lead to a more nuanced and compassionate approach to responsibility. Imagine a person struggling with addiction. While their actions might have negative consequences, understanding the powerful neurological mechanisms driving their addiction allows for empathy and a shift from simple blame to a more holistic approach focused on support and rehabilitation. Similarly, understanding the influence of unconscious biases on our decisions can foster self-awareness and encourage us to strive for greater fairness and understanding in our interactions with others. The meaning of life, too, takes on new dimensions when we consider the potential limitations of free will. If our choices are not entirely self-determined, does this diminish their significance? Quite the contrary. It can heighten the appreciation for the beauty and complexity of the human experience, recognizing the intricate interplay of conscious and unconscious forces that shape our lives. The journey of life, with its twists and turns, becomes a fascinating exploration of the human condition, a narrative unfolding within the constraints and possibilities of our neurobiological inheritance. The implications of a less absolute view of free will are not about absolving ourselves of responsibility, but rather about refining our understanding of human behavior and our capacity for empathy. It's about recognizing the limitations of simple cause and effect models and embracing a more holistic perspective that acknowledges the complexity of human consciousness and the intricate interplay of internal and external influences. This understanding fosters a more compassionate and nuanced approach to ourselves and others, enriching our lives with a deeper appreciation for the delicate dance between determinism and the subjective experience of choice. It's a journey of self-discovery, a continuous unfolding of understanding, and a path towards a more compassionate and meaningful existence. As we conclude our exploration of the illusion of free will, let's reflect on the journey we've taken. We began with the intuitive, deeply ingrained sense of making conscious choices, the feeling of being the author of our own lives. Neuroscience, however, has presented us with a fascinating counterpoint, revealing the intricate workings of the brain and the subtle interplay between conscious awareness and unconscious processes. These findings suggest that our decisions might not be as freely chosen as we instinctively believe. The subjective experience of choice, that powerful feeling of agency, remains a profound and undeniable aspect of human experience. Yet, the possibility that this experience might be, in some sense, an illusion doesn't diminish its significance. It simply adds another layer of complexity to our understanding of ourselves. We've considered the implications of this perspective on personal responsibility, morality, and the very meaning we attach to our lives. The potential limitations of absolute free will don't necessarily lead to nihilism or a sense of helplessness. Instead, they can foster a more profound empathy and a deeper appreciation for the intricacies of human behavior. Our journey has touched upon philosophical viewpoints, exploring the interplay between determinism and the subjective experience of choice, without attempting to definitively resolve the age-old debate. The beauty of this exploration lies not in finding conclusive answers, but in the process of questioning, reflecting, and expanding our understanding of the human condition. The wonder of consciousness, with its mysteries and complexities, remains intact, whether or not we possess absolute free will. Perhaps the illusion, if it is one, is a necessary illusion, a vital component of the human experience that allows us to navigate the world and build meaningful connections. In the quiet stillness of the night, as you drift towards sleep, consider this: the journey of self-discovery is a continuous one. Embrace the questions, the uncertainties, and the profound mystery of being human. Let the gentle exploration of these ideas bring a sense of calm and wonder, as you rest peacefully, knowing that even within the complexities of the brain, there is a profound and enduring beauty to the human experience. Let the quiet contemplation of these ideas soothe you into a restful and reflective slumber.